Our world is starving, spiritually and physically, and the two are intimately related. 1 billion people have been born into extreme poverty, living without the basic necessities required for survival. Another 2 billion people live on less than $2 a day and wrestle with situations full of hunger, sickness, and hopelessness. Half of the world is desperately poor today. In stark contrast, the Western world has been blessed with the greatest concentration of material wealth in human history. Yet our lives of comfort, safety, and excess have still left us wanting more. We too are hungry. Hungry for Life is an organization committed to facilitating opportunities for people to know the power and the presence of Jesus through worship and worldwide compassion. We've seen that people, spiritually motivated or not, are discovering that joy and personal fulfillment comes from what they give rather than from what they receive. For nearly a decade, we've been creating partnerships between leaders in developing countries and local churches and community groups in North America, and bringing them together to facilitate projects of compassion, addressing both spiritual and physical poverty. Since our beginning, we've enabled over 75 teams of short-term volunteers from over 30 different churches and groups to travel to 17 different countries and participate in compassion projects. One of these projects is with Hillside Community Church, with help from the Government of Canada in partnership with Gospel Power Churches in Western Kenya. Hillside has sent out 3 trips in 3 years, and the difference it has made on both sides of the world is staggering.
We had this desire to make a difference somewhere and really reach the poorest of the poor, but felt like we had no vehicle to do it. Hungry for Life really just made it simple for us. And they basically held our hand and walked us through it and took all the hard parts. And I mean, it's really been fantastic to see the enthusiasm for people to want to make a difference, to somehow matter in the world.
I've been passionate about Africa ever since our pastor introduced the idea probably 5 or 6 years ago. I remember crying at that time and being so excited because I always wanted to be helping Africa. Hillside Church is an incredible church. We're a small congregation, but you would never know it by the love they have for Boro and the people in Africa. Our trip was an amazing experience. I know before leaving I've had friends saying like, well, why won't you just send your money instead of going on your own? But until you're there and you actually see the people and how excited and grateful they are for you being there and helping them, and the hope that our trip gives them is amazing.
Gineno mor ka jogi biro kendo gineno konyruok nikech ka joma kaka jo Canada gibiro to gineno lokruok mar piny, yani gweng'wa kaka kacha gi kama wantie. Konyruok nitie malach nikech gi jogi biro kendo kelonwa maendeleo manyocha waonge. Koro piny olokore. Puonj mane wadhiye ne wanyalo dwaro gik ma wanyalo chako go tijni. Nikech nok wanyal chake kod pachwa to waonge gima wachake. Kaka sani koro waneno nikech gik tich wan go kaka kwer kod rek gik mane omiwa mwatiyogo. To chandruok ma waneno ma an awuon aneno e ngimana. Sama koro chieng' rieny to kaka konyra onge. Ting'o pi samoro aliero mag iyo to ok rom.
Nachako puodhoni nikech ne ok timga maber mokwongo ka napuroga. Koro ka Michael odhi training to biro kod puonj manyien, technique manyien. Koro introduce nikech napidho mana oduma kende, nanyalo rito nyaka oduma chiega. Koro yuto mar juma ka juma kata dwe ka dwe to koro ne onge.
2 months ago I had a class of 30 people teaching them double DP. Some of them are already doing it. They come to me, they want me to teach them. I used to get around 3,000 shillings per month. But now I'm getting money, I'm getting around 6,000, so it's 7. And the crops also, most of the things I get free. So the life is cheap. I had no enough food. Now I have enough food. I have enough food.
I love that we're in a relationship with Boro, and so us showing up there made a huge difference in our relationship with Boro for us and for them, because it made it real, and it made it us real to them and them real to us, which I think is a really big deal. Yes, it's an expensive way to bring about change, but I think we end up sending more money to places like that once we've experienced the reality of it than we do if we don't go, because it's real, it's in our heart then, right? We remember them because God has put them on our heart, not just to send money, but to be in their lives.
It's very important for them to come, because even if you send money and you don't see where the money comes from, who sends the money, you want to know them. We don't want to see the money, but seeing you coming and say, oh, there's something good that we get, which is spiritual and also physical. Like now in Boro, this dispensary, they're seeing that their God is doing something, and God is doing something through Hillside Community Church, conjunction to Boro Gospel Power.
Initially, the newly born babies used to die quite a number. In fact, the percentage was up to 45-50%. Reason being, the facility here did not choose to offer maternity services. But since last year, those who have delivered here and the cases that have been reported is only 4% dying, but the rest are alive. Our partners and also the church in Canada have done a lot, not only to this community, but to Kenya, and we appreciate that. It will go into history that some of our development partners came and did this wonderful work through a church in Kenya that is gospel power. And I think this is something that we need to bring on board quite a lot, because it's going to help not only in terms of sending in the material support, but also coming physically to do it. So I would want to say it is very important. It is very, very important for us as a community. And we thank you very much for that.
There are a lot of girls who have been retrieved from the villages, those who are house helps, and they are now back to school. And since we now have more rooms, we have that chance to admit more outside girls. So we have more outside learning in our schools because of the more rooms created. And the central government is now offering more teachers to cater for the more children that are coming. So the girl child is now catered, and we are happy to be back in school.
I would wholeheartedly recommend the work of Hungry for Life. I guess I've looked around at a lot of organizations and tried to find ways to help, and I just really feel like Hungry for Life is hitting it on the mark. I really would recommend them. I would really recommend getting out into the field. I would highly recommend seeing the work for yourself. It impacts them, but it impacts you so dramatically that it's life-changing in ways that you'll never even be able to put words to.
As we get exposed to the poor, you just kind of see God's heart capture people and grab hold of them, and their character begins to change, and it's a very, very exciting thing. It's one of the best things I've been able to see as a pastor, as a leader, in the lives of my people.
We envision a world transformed, a world that's been renovated by a global movement of compassion and justice, evidenced by the eradication of needless suffering. A world transformed and characterized by a passionate, unified church speaking with a voice of credibility and realized by its reputation for love and compassion. By churches and organizations strategically connected and engaged with communities around the world involved in sustainable community development. And generous living that's resulted in a redistribution of global resources. This vision of a world transformed is massive, but so is the potential of our impact when we sacrifice our comforts, safety, excesses, and spend ourselves on behalf of those who needlessly suffer. Hungry for Life was born out of a passion to motivate and mobilize all who would desire to bring about justice in our world. Instead of coming to groups and asking them for money or people for our projects and priorities, HFL comes alongside of groups and people to help them with their projects and impact. We work with churches and community groups in Canada and the United States to help them find an appropriate project focus and location to invest. We design project plans and activities with the participation and input of the donor group and the local field partner. We monitor and evaluate the project activities for maximum results and accountability. We send short-term teams from the groups in North America to be involved in locally appropriate ways. These teams are always a primary vehicle to build relationships between the groups. The lives of the volunteer teams and those who host them are forever changed by this interaction. And we are committed to doing all of this in a way that 100% of the funds raised for projects are used for the international projects. If you would like to find out more about Hungry for Life, or if you would like to know more about how we could help you or your group change the world, you can contact us in one of the following ways. Visit hungryforlife.org, or you can email us at info@hungryforlife.org.